everyone, welcome to How to Tutors, and today we'll be doing a poetry analysis of Talk to the Peach Tree by Sipho Sepamla. Stay tuned for more. Let's begin with a brief intro on the poet. Sipho Sepamla was born in a township near Krugersdorp into a family of educators. He became a teacher, but after experiencing Sharpeville 1960 firsthand, when teaching there, he left the profession. He founded FUBA, the Federated Union of Black Artists, which gave voice to black artists of all disciplines. It functioned successfully until 1997. He also edited both a literary and a theatre magazine. Sepamla has an individual voice. His poems work on irony, satire, and humor, qualities not often found in the poets of the era, who were politically loud and emotionally conscious, raising. This poem was written during the apartheid years. Sepamla uses it to voice his opinion on the political talks that took place between various parties before the formalized end of apartheid. Sepamla and his group saw the pen as the bomb, which could be used to fight against apartheid and social injustice. The negotiations between the various parties were ultimately successful, and South Africa became a democratic state in 1994. The speaker's peacemaking and peaceful attitude is clear, and it's about time in the last line. A summary of the poem. The speaker wittily makes a series of rather odd, absurd, even suggestions about with whom to discuss politics, from the birds, shadows, pits, the peach tree, and the air itself. He ends the poem on a serious note and states that the devil himself should be addressed. This refers to the leaders of the apartheid government. Let's have a look at the diction used in the poem. Just a quick reminder, diction refers to the choice of words used by the poet or author of the poem. Swallows, long-distant migrant birds found in most countries. Countries are nations. Notations, representations, codes or symbol words and phrases. Misused, misrepresented, not used for the reason they were intended. Admit is to agree. Whining woman, a woman who complains continuously. Paralyzing heat, extreme heat that hinders you from doing anything. Mercilessness, cruelty. Rubbish heap is a dump site. Eyeing is observing. Let us have a look at the poem. Talk to the Peach Tree, Sipho Sepamla. Let's talk to the swallows visiting us in summer. Ask how it is in other countries. Let's talk to the afternoon shadow. Ask how the day has been so far. Let's raise our pets to our level. Ask them what they don't know of us. Words have lost meaning. Like all nations, they've been misused. Most people will admit a whining woman can overstate her case. Talk to the paralyzing heat in the air. Inquire how long the mercilessness will last. Let's pick out items from the rubbish heap. Ask how the stench is like down there. Let's talk to the peach tree. Find out how it feels to be in the ground. Let's talk to the moon going down. Ask if it isn't enough eyeing what's been going on. Come on, let's talk to the devil himself. It's about time. Let us go into detail about the form or the structure of the poem. The poem is written in free verse, meaning there is no recognizable poetic form. There is, however, a pattern in stanzas 3, 7, 8, and 9. They all have the same pattern of word choice, length, and content. The indents in the 4th and 5th stanzas alerts the reader to the fact that these stanzas are, in fact, commentary on the overall situation. The repetition of the word talk 6 times highlights the need for dialogue between the oppressor and the oppressed. In this case, the apartheid government and people of color in South Africa. There is an indent in the last line as well, and this serves to visually highlight the message of the poem. Right, let's do an analysis of the poem, starting with the title. The peach tree appears in several of Sepamla's poems. The peach tree is about the tree in his garden and in the will. It is one of his possessions which he wittily bequeaths to his children. while making subtle comments about life under the apartheid system. So it was common to use a pseudonym or to be subtle about your commentary and what you say in the apartheid era, simply to avoid getting into trouble with the law or being arrested. Lines 1 to 6. Let's talk to the swallows visiting us in summer. Ask how it is in other countries. Let's talk to the afternoon shadow. Ask how the day has been so far. Let's raise our pets to our level. Ask them what they don't know of us. Right, the literal actions are quite absurd, lines 1 to 6. Talking to pets, the afternoon shadow, and pets again. It is amusing to expect our pets to have been raised to human level to be able to answer the serious question, what do you know about us? Because pets don't generally talk, do they? This absurdity creates humor. So the whole point of this is to create humor. However, the underlying message is serious. What do you, especially the whites, know about us? During apartheid, there was little or no opportunity to understand or communicate with people from other races. One group of people was always superior and had a voice, whilst the other had to remain silent. Lines 7 to 10. Words have lost meaning. Like all notations, they've been misused. Most people will admit, whining woman can overstate her case. In lines 7 to 10, the lines are indented to show that these stanzas are commentaries and indicates a difference. Also, the casual sounding repetitive let's talk of the previous lines has been dropped. These words must be taken seriously. So in contrast to the humor in the previous lines 1 to 6, lines 7 to 10 has a more serious tone. He states that words have lost their meaning. This means that talking has become useless. Attempts to negotiate change with the apartheid government had failed. Instead, more repressive measures had been introduced to suppress the blacks. Continuing with lines 7 to 10, misused notations refers to communication tools which have become so warped that their original intentions have become lost. Words have literally lost their meaning. Language has been twisted and used to convey lies, propaganda, and cannot be trusted. Whining has a negative connotations of high-pitched complaining without valid reason. The words of line 10 are a reminder of the saying, the lady doth protest too much. By emotionally overdoing a statement, overstate her case, the real meaning is lost and the words are felt to be insincere. The words now sound insincere because they've been repeated over and over again for no reason. They've become insignificant and are of no value whatsoever. Lines 11 to 12. Talk to the paralyzing heat in the air. Inquire how long the mercilessness will last. Paralyzing implies that the oppression, i.e. the heat, renders a person unable to do anything. It also refers to their pain and suffering. So the pain and suffering of these people, the people of color, black people in South Africa, their pain has rendered them unable to do anything. It has paralyzed them. And who has caused this pain? The apartheid government. Mercilessness emphasizes the effects of apartheid. No empathy, mercy, compassion for the oppressed people. Very little empathy and care was given to these people. This is symbolic of the position black people were in during apartheid. They were prisoners in a harsh and unforgiving situation. Lines 13 to 14. Let's pick out items from the rubbish heap. Ask how the stench is like down there. The words rubbish heap, stench, and down there relate to the way black people were regarded by the authorities. Rubbish that was to be thrown away, something that created a bad smell or stench. Who would want to be near that? The tone is serious and the intention is to describe the reality of the situation of black people living in South Africa. Lines 15 to 16. Let's talk to the peach tree. Find out how it feels to be in the ground. The peach tree is rooted in a permanent place in the garden. Unlike other items, things he proposed with to have a conversation, the tree will tell him how it feels to be rooted and fruitful in a place you can call your own. The connotation is rooted in permanence and fruitful implies productive and successful. The peach tree has land that it belongs to. Blacks did not have land. They were not even regarded as citizens. They have no sense of belonging, so they cannot be productive and fruitful. They cannot be a success like other races. Lines 17 to 18. Let's talk to the moon going down. Ask if it isn't enough, eyeing what's been going on. Line 17 to 18. Moon going down. The light of the moon will disappear as it goes down. This is symbolic of them losing hope because it goes dark, it goes blank. The moon is personified. It is aware of their situation it has been eyeing, observing, so to say. The setting of the moon will lead to daylight. Daylight is associated with a new day, new hope. Their situation is visible to the whole world, but nobody has done anything to effectively change their situation. So no one came up and decided or offered to help black people in their struggle against the apartheid government in South Africa. The new day does not bring new hope for them. Lines 19 to 21. Come on, let's talk to the devil himself. It's about time. Lines 19 to 21 are indented, just as lines 7 to 10 are. In order to make them stand out, the indents alert the reader to the fact that these lines are commentary on the overall situation. Lines 19 to 21. Come on, he's encouraging himself and others. He's boosting their morale and getting them to do something, to come up. The devil, the oppressors, the apartheid system. It's about time. The time has come to speak directly to the powers who have been oppressing the black people for too long. There is a change in the tone in the last three lines. There is a sense of reluctance and helplessness. For so long, there has been no communication. He knows that his conversation is long overdue and needs to happen to facilitate change. So his conversation is an encourager of change. This could relate to the announcement that Nelson Mandela was going to be released. So there's renewed hope, and there's a chance that things might get better. Talking was a way to work for change without physical injury. It was time for negotiations. The themes in this poem, the overall theme is open channel of communication is the overall theme in this poem. The speaker encourages the oppressed people to exhaust all peaceful forms of communication for them to address apartheid. Please note that the freedom of expression and association for black people at the time was restricted, meaning they couldn't openly state things and come out and express themselves. Hence, talking to the peach tree first, not the government of the time. It's symbolic. The speaker of the view that the ideas from all sorts of people should be accommodated or considered. So he's of the opinion and the view that ideas from all sorts of people, no matter where you come from and what you're doing, all your ideas should be accommodated or considered. We should all be considered as human beings. Sub-themes include emancipation of the oppressed, so freeing of the oppressed, patriotism, freedom of speech, and rebellion. The tone is absurd, cynical, despair, and frustration. So this tone is negative, doesn't show positivity. The mood brought about is apprehensive and anxious. It doesn't have peace. The mood brought about is apprehensive and anxious. It doesn't have peace. Right, that is all for Talk to the Peach Tree by Sipho Sepamla. Let us know what poems and analysis you'd like us to do next. Stay tuned for more.